I think it's already recording. Great, so I don't have to worry about that. Let's make sure that we've got two blocks if you've got them, a blanket or two if you have them. And then we're just going to start by just coming to a seated position. And I want you to take the opportunity to sit in whatever way feels appropriate for you. Good morning, Julie. And the first thing that you'll do when you come to this seated posture is I just want you to take a moment to get comfortable here. So you might soften the gaze or close the eyes. You might fidget around in a little bit, maybe rolling the neck, maybe rolling the shoulders. Those of you with the low back stuff, you might take a little baby cat cow here. You're just taking a little bit of time to come into this moment, to come into this shape. And you've got about 4 to 5 more breath cycles, fidgeting in whatever way feels inviting and nurturing to you. Good morning, Laura. And then once you feel like you've gotten any wiggles or giggles out, go ahead and allow yourself to come to stillness. Allow the eyes to still remain soft or closed. Notice if you can place the hands in such a place where they're apart from each other, the heart is open, the chest is open. And they release any unnecessary tension around the mouth and the eyes. And now as you're in this position, notice that the body is still talking to you. It might still be making little micro adjustments. And as those little adjustments start to happen, notice that something changes in them. You're not forcing it to change, you're not forcing it to evolve, but something does happen. And then I want you to take 3 to 5 slow, deep, steady breaths. And these can be in through the nose and out through the mouth, or in through the nose and out through the nose, but you're just allowing yourself to soften and to settle. And in our practice today, we're going to work with this idea of giving ourselves space, giving ourselves permission to just be as we are, and notice what happens, notice what changes just as a result of fully being present right where we are, as we are. You'll take 2 more breath cycles here, bringing your awareness to whatever part of the body is most active for you. And you'll just allow the loving attention, awareness of the breath to settle there. At the end of your second exhalation, you'll go ahead and softly lower your chin towards your chest. Allow the eyes to softly open, and then you'll bring your head up to center and your eyes come back to vertical. All right, the first thing that we're going to do is make our way forward onto hands and knees. And so I would encourage some of you to pad your knees with a blanket if you'd like. And the very first thing you'll do is knees under hips, curl both sets of toes under, press your bum back toward your heels, and then walk your hands forward about 6 inches. Notice that your face is a little closer to the floor. You might then walk your hands forward another 2 inches. Allow your head to descend in alignment with your arms, so your ears are on the inside edges of your arms. Maybe your forehead touches the floor, maybe it doesn't, but you've got a little mini toe squat going on here. And then you've also got the ability to press into the hands and then breathe wide into the low back. And some of you might notice if your arms, your hands want to be a little further apart. So they're a little, right to left. And then you'll notice what that does in the body and in the breath. And you've just got 2 more breath cycles settling here. Nice work. On your next inhalation, roll from your tailbone all the way up into your head into a cat pose. Yep. And then stay here for a bit. And then in this cat pose, your hands are a little further forward than they normally would be. And you're just letting yourself settle here, rounding through the spine, noticing what this feels like. And then as you're ready, you'll curl from the tailbone to your head to a cow pose. And again, your hands are still a little further forward than they normally would be. And you just notice what this feels like, letting the body adjust. And you'll take 4 more of these on your own, just rolling through the cats, taking a breath cycle to pause there, letting the body settle into this new shape. And then you'll inhale into your cow. And again, allowing the body to settle into this shape, noticing that the shoulders can come away from the ears by pressing down into the L shape of the hands. And when you feel like you've got the sense of that going, you might begin to pick up the pace, and I want you to stay with allowing the breath to settle into the body and allowing the body to slowly reveal to you what it needs to reveal to you. So slowing down, seeing how the body is, seeing how you're feeling in this moment. Awesome. The next time you round through that spine, you'll then take a big breath in and come to a neutral spine. Keeping the hands forward like this, separate your hands a little bit right to left. Yep. Send your right foot back, curl the toes under, and you're just going to pulse a little forward and back. And you'll just notice what this feels like in the body. Where do you feel this in your hands? Where do you feel this in that back right calf? Go ahead and pause, lower the right knee back down, slide the left foot back, and do the same thing. And you're just paying attention. What does it feel like? It's very interesting. I think change is one of those things that I don't always particularly enjoy. And yet, without it, we don't have the opportunity to learn, to discover, to explore something new about ourselves, about others, about the world around us. All right, go ahead and pause, lower that knee down. Okay, this time slide your right foot back. Press down into both hands, lift the back of your head, slide your left foot back to meet your right. So you're now in this weird plank pose where your arms are a little further forward and wider than they normally are. Can you keep, your tailbone in line with your shoulders, your head in line with your shoulders? Yep. And then just take a few breaths to pause and breathe here. Tailbone lengthens back, low belly pulls in. At the end of your next exhalation, gently lower the knees back down to the mat. Take your right hand, turn your right thumb forward, so your right fingers out to the right. Turn your right foot towards the right edge of your mat. Slide the left foot back, roll over to the left to stack your left shoulder on top of your right, and reach your left arm up towards the sky. So we should be in a side plank pose with our right shin down, and some of us are doing lots of different things. There we go. And then you might reach that left arm alongside your left ear. You might hold the back of your head with your left hand. And I want you to press down into the right hand, press down into the right shin. Keep lengthening your tailbone back towards your right foot and just notice what this feels like. On your next exhalation, allow the left hand to come back to the floor. Come back to a hands and knees position. Nice work. From here, again, your hands are slightly wider than your shoulders. Turn your left thumb to face the top of your space, left fingers out. Turn your left foot to the left side of your mat. Slide your right foot straight back, and then stack the right shoulder on top of the left. Yep, there we go. And then you've just got a few breath cycles here. And again, you're pushing down on the left hand, down on the left shin, down in the right pinky toe. You might reach the right arm alongside your ear, feel that side body stretch. You might hold onto the back of your right head, Feel that side body stretch, and you're just pausing and you're breathing. Nice job. On your next exhale, lower the right hand back to the floor, come back to hands and knees. Take a normal hands and knees, so hands are directly underneath your shoulders. And then take a few cats and cows and notice what it feels like having the hands under the shoulders. And again, I encourage you to take a few breaths to pause in the cow shape and in the cat shape so you can allow the body to catch up. I think so often many of us, myself included, try to rush to the next thing instead of allowing ourselves the time to digest, to process, to be as we are where we are. And sometimes that's okay. Sometimes we do need to move a little bit quicker than we want to. And sometimes I think it sets us up to have a little bit of a heartache a little later on. All right, so let's go ahead and come back to neutral. Curl both sets of toes under. On your next inhalation, gaze forward. As you exhale, start to press your pelvis up and back towards a downward facing dog. Keep your knees bent. Now in this down dog, I want you to notice specifically how straight you can make your spine. So how long can you make your front body, the torso? How long can you make the back body? What does it feel like to press evenly into the L shape of your hands? And then gently notice what it feels like if you start to straighten perhaps one or both legs towards the floor. And again, I encourage you to slow down just a little bit so that you can feel how the body is actually responding, the information that it's actually sending you. It's fascinating to me that the vagal nerve, which is like the longest cranial nerve in the body, it sends more signals from the body up to the brain than from the brain down to the body. And if we allow ourselves to slow down just a little bit, we can allow ourselves to gain access to that information that's always there. Nice job. All right. If you're still in movement, go ahead and come to stillness. On your next in breath, let's go ahead and come forward to hands and knees. I encourage you to pad your knees if you'd like, but again, not necessary. Let's take our right thumb and turn it slightly towards the right, so it's just a little bit. Walk it out to the right and forward just a little bit. Slide your right foot to the right. So keep the right knee bent, slide the right foot to the right side of the mat, roll over on top of the right shoulder, grab your left foot with your left hand. There we go. And then pause here first. Draw the left heel towards your left bum. Push down into your right hand, your right shin. Now I want you to move around just in micro movements here to feel the support of the bottom leg and the bottom hand. To lengthen your tailbone down towards your left knee. And then some of you will kick your left foot away from you, and notice that that then creates a stretch across the top of your left pec. So you're still holding on to that foot, but now you're finding a stretch across the top of the chest. And then just take a moment to pause and breathe. Allow the body to settle. Allow you to catch up with you in this moment in time. Very gently, those that are holding the foot will release the foot. You'll come back to hands and knees. You'll take a moment to pause. Great. Let's try all that on the other side. Turn your left thumb slightly to the top of the mat. Walk it over to the left and forward just a smidge. Turn your left foot to the left side of your mat. Then start to stack your right shoulder on top of your left shoulder, right hip on top of left. Grab your right foot with your right hand. Make sure the hand's on the top of the foot. Draw the heel close to the pelvis. Push down into the left hand, left shin. Lengthen your tailbone back. And then take the micro adjustments you need to find more stability by pushing down. Some of you will then kick your right foot back and away from you to find a stretch across the front of your right chest. And then just take a moment to pause and to notice the breath, to notice the sensations that are happening right here, right now. Awesome sauce. Very gently release. Let's go ahead and come back to hands and knees. Once again, curl both sets of toes under. This time, walk your hands forward about 2 to 3 inches. Make sure your hands are at least shoulder distance apart. Maybe the thumbs slightly spin forward. And then you're going to tuck the toes under, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. And again, the knees are bent. Pay attention to what's happening in the front of the body. Are your armpits lifting away from the floor, the rib cage closing into the back body? And then with the hands in this perhaps slightly rotated position, notice what that feels like in your shoulders. Notice what you notice in your hips and your low back. And then some of you might reach one end or both feet towards the floor. And so if you're doing one, you'll notice that there's a stretch that happens on the back of the leg that's straight. You might even notice something happening in the hips and the pelvis. And if you're doing both, notice how the calves are feeling. The quadriceps are engaged, the low back lengthens. Nice job. All right, let's go ahead and come back forward, hands and knees. Lower your forearms to the mat. For this one, let's make sure our hands are at least in that number 11 shape, so they're parallel to each other. For today, let's turn our palms to face the sky. Yep. Press the backs of your hands onto the floor as much as you can. And then I want you to round through your spine in a little cat shape and just pause and notice what you notice here. Yep. And then you'll come into a little cow shape and you'll notice what you notice here. Yep, and you'll do this about 2 to 3 more times. And to the best of your ability, you're trying to get the whole back of your hand, arm, palm to touch the floor. What this does is this just impacts what's happening in your shoulder girdle. And so you'll maybe notice that, maybe not, but we want to pause and allow ourselves to experience that. Awesome sauce. And you'll do one more set on your own, keeping the shoulders directly over your elbows as best as you can. Yeah, nice job. Let's go ahead and come to a neutral position. Turn your palms to face the floor. Come forward onto your abdomens now. Okay, when you're on your belly, separate your hands out into a cactus shape. Elbows bent 90-degree angle. Look at your right elbow arm first. Slide it over to the right just a smidge. Then turn and look towards your left hand. Step your left hand underneath your left shoulder. Listen closely. This is going to be slow. You're going to push down into the left hand to start to stack your left shoulder towards your right shoulder. Now, because that right elbow is bent, you might not get very far. Awesome. Jason, come onto your belly for me, please. Slide your right elbow to the right more and lift it closer towards the top of your space. Yep. Now roll over to the left. So we're trying to get the top of our pec. And you might lift your head a little bit and lower the head a little bit, but you're paying attention to what's happening on the right side of your chest. Awesome sauce. And then very gently, you'll roll back onto your chest. Slide the left elbow back to the left. Make sure it's still in that 90-degree angle, and then slide it a little further more towards the left. Look towards the right. Step the right hand underneath the right shoulder and start to roll towards the left. And then this time, notice what happens if you press down into your left palm, your left elbow, and isometrically drag those 2 points towards your left nipple. Notice what happens if you lift and lower your head, maybe drawing it a little further towards the floor, a little further back and away. But you're just allowing yourself to observe and notice what happens here. Awesome sauce. Very gently, let's come back onto the belly. Bring your hands alongside your hips. Turn your palms to face the floor. Great. And then separate your feet about hip distance apart. And as weird as this sounds, I want you to press into the tops of your toes, lift your pelvis away from the floor, and then lengthen your tailbone back and put your pelvis back down. Great. Now from here, draw the shoulders up towards your ears. Draw the shoulder blades onto your back. Lift your ears in line with the tops of your shoulders. Now, imagine that you can make the front of your body and the back of the body equally long. You can lift as high up as you want. You'll start to walk your hands back and a little wide. Hands are still touching the floor theoretically, but you're trying to make your front body and your back body as long. So your tailbone reaches back, your sternum reaches forward, your pubic bone reaches forward. And then see once you're there, if you can squeeze the shoulder blades onto the back a little bit more and you notice that the heart comes forward. And then notice if you can lift the back of the head just a smidge. Yep, ears in line with the shoulders. Now, some of you will stay right here with your feet pressing into the floor. Some of you will reach so far back through the big toe mounds that you lift your legs up and away from the floor. And again, the impetus is on making the front body and the back body equally long. And we're going to stay here for about 5 more breath cycles. And as you're here, I'd like you to just notice what you notice. How does the body start to settle into this? How does it start to open into this just by being present, just by breathing, just by noticing what you notice? Awesome sauce. At the end of your next exhalation, gently lower back down to the mat. Bring an ear to the mat and take a deep breath. And you just pause and you breathe and you pause and you breathe and you notice what you notice. Rest is one of those things that is very important, but it doesn't always have to look a particular way. Sometimes it can look like just being fully actively alert and aware of what's going on in a moment by moment basis. All right, let's go ahead and come up to Sphinx pose. So forearms underneath your shoulders. Legs are super long. And before we go anywhere, let's go ahead and press all 10 fingertips down to the floor. Isometrically draw them back as the sternum comes forward and the tailbone goes back. Now drop your right ear over towards your right shoulder. Isometrically pull back with your left hand, and you might open and close your mouth a few times, just finding as things start to open there. Legs are active. And on your next in-breath, gently release that. Come back through center. Press down through both hands equally. Isometrically draw the right hand back as you lower your left ear towards your left shoulder. And then you might open and close the mouth a few more times. And again, the sternum is still coming forward, and that's because you're pushing, the hands down to draw the shoulder blades onto the back, which opens the heart forward. Nice. And then on your next in-breath, go ahead and come back through center. From here, let's take our right hand over towards the left hand. Go ahead and bend your left knee. Reach around with your left hand to grab your left foot. And then some of you might just stay here pushing down into that right hand, pushing down into your right foot and grabbing your left foot. Some of you will draw the left heel towards your pelvis and try to square your left shoulder to the top of your space. And again, you're pushing down into the floor with that right hand. You're lengthening your tailbone back. You're drawing the heart forward. Nice job. Very mindfully release that. Come back through center, back to the number 11 shape with the hands. Take your left hand towards your right hand. Bend your right knee. Reach around and grab the inside or outside edge of your right foot. And some of you will just stay here, pushing down into left hand, pushing down into left foot. You might grab the foot and draw the heel closer to the pelvis. And then you might see if you can turn the chest towards the top of your space. And you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're pausing and you're breathing. Nice job. Keep pushing down into that left forearm. Yeah. Very gently release the foot. Great. Now this is going to sound wonky. I want you to lower your chest back down. I want you to put your hands in line, thumbs in line with nipples. Okay, first of all, let's go ahead and engage our legs. So pressing the tops of the feet into the floor. You might lift the pelvis again to slide the tailbone back and then put the pelvis back down, drawing the pubic bone up. Now from here, push down into the hands lightly. Draw the shoulders up to the ears. Draw the shoulder blades onto the back. Lift your ears in line with the tops of your shoulders. Now you're going to take 10 breath cycles to come up into your cobra, but I want you to notice how much effort you can put into the hands. Notice how much effort you can put into the legs. Notice how much effort you can put into drawing the low belly in to keep the low back long. And then you'll notice that as you're doing all of this, the body starts to settle in a way. You'll find that the shoulder blades can come onto the back body in a way to open the heart. And you're just taking your time to get to this position. I think so often all of us want to feel open-hearted and we try to rush it, but what if we allowed ourselves to take our time, doing the work that we need to find the stability in our backs and our support, and just letting that be the case. And then at the end of your next breath cycle, you'll slowly, slowly, slowly lower all the way back down. Bring the opposite ear to the mat and allow yourself an opportunity to just take in what just happened. Just take in what just happened. Awesome sauce. All right, let's bring our forehead back to the mat. Bring your hands alongside your rib cage. Tuck your toes under. Press your knees into the floor. Draw your low belly in. Now draw the shoulders up towards the ears. Draw the shoulder blades onto the back. Pause. Bring your ears in line with the tops of your shoulders. Pause. Push your knees down and draw your low belly in again. And then with all the strength in the arms, keeping the head, the shoulders, and the hips at the same height, press into a hands and knees plank pose. Aha, nice job. From here, straighten your knees and you're in plank. And we're just going to pause here for a few breath cycles. And you're just going to pause and you're going to breathe for a few breath cycles and you notice what you notice. Can you allow the body to soften into this strength? Can you allow it to settle into this strength? We're so much stronger than we give ourselves credit for in a variety of positions, but we just need to give ourselves permission to settle into it. And then when you're ready, you'll lower your knees to the mat. And then you'll press back to your downward facing dog, just to give the shoulders a little break. And then you'll pause and you'll breathe and you'll notice what you notice. And in this down dog, just observe. Does the body need to fidget around just a little bit to let things settle into shape? You know, as a dancer, one of the biggest things that we always were working towards is called balance. You know, like you wanted to be able to be on demi point or point and be in a really crazy extension or pose. But in order to balance, there's a constant little adjustment happening every single moment in what looks like complete stillness. And so how are you allowing your body to do that now? Awesome sauce. All right, let's go ahead and lower our knees back down to the mat. Let's go ahead and lower our forearms back down to the mat. This time you might decide to take prayer pose or you might not. You might also just go back to that number 11 shape, this time with the palms facing down, but you're going to take a round of cats and cows. And as best as you can you keep the elbows directly underneath your shoulders? Yep, so you might need to either draw the hands back or shift your weight forward. Yeah, nice work, guys. And then the next time you're in that cat shape, stay there. Push down into the forearms, lift up through your inner armpits, let the head be heavy, curl your toes under, and you might start to reach your feet or towards the floor, your hips towards the sky. And this is just our first one, so it's not going to be perhaps the best one of the day, but you're going to allow yourself to keep pressing into it. Inner armpits lift. Yeah, let the body settle. And then when you're ready, you'll lower the knees back down. You'll take a breath or two in child's pose. And you'll just take a moment to pause and to breathe. And allow yourself to just be here and notice what you notice. Nice work. Very gently start to roll from the tailbone down to bring yourself up to sit. And once again, you might want a blanket underneath your shin bones or not. You might also want to have your blocks somewhere near the outside edges of your space, but that'll come about in a little bit. We're going to go ahead and stand on top of our shin bones. I'm going to actually turn to face you. And then when you're standing on top of your shins, we're going to step our right foot out towards the right, spin the whole right edge of the foot towards the floor. Right hand might touch top of right thigh or maybe top of right shin. Reach your left arm up and overhead. So let's make sure our right foot is parallel. So the toes are pointing in the same direction as our front knee. There we go. Yep. And then from here, you're going to push down, keep all the weight mostly on your left side, and take a happy little side bend towards the right. And you're just going to pause and you're going to breathe and you're going to notice what you notice happening here. Notice if your shoulder has crept up towards your ear, if you can let that go. Awesome sauce. Tailbone lengthens straight down. And then when you're ready, you'll inhale and you'll come back up. Right hand and left hand come to hips, step your right foot in, and then we'll try all that on the other side. Left foot out to the left, pinky toe edge of the foot presses straight down. Left hand comes to the top of the left shin or left thigh, wherever works for you. Keep the weight primarily on your right thigh. Inhale, sweep your right arm up and overhead, and then little happy side bend over to the left. And you're just noticing what's happening all along your right side body as you breathe. Tailbone drops down. Find what that does in the head, the neck, and the shoulders. And you're just taking a little bit of time to be here, letting everything settle into place. Nice job. All right. Next in breath, go ahead and come back up. Hands come back to hip. Step your left foot in. Now, before you go anywhere, with both hands on the hips, I want you to see if you can draw your shoulder blades towards each other on the back. Allow that to press your sternum forward. And then notice that you can draw your chin towards your sternum and your sternum towards your chin. And you're just going to take a moment to pause here, drawing these two things together, noticing what that feels like. Great. And so we're not really trying to push our pelvis forward. This is just hugging the elbows towards each other. And it creates that upper back bend similar to what we did in Cobra. Nice job. And then let's go ahead and release that. I want you to curl both sets of toes under if they're not, and we're going to sit down for our toe squat. So at this point, you can curl the pinky toes under a little bit more if you'd like. Sit very tall on your shin bones. And then let's go ahead and reach our left arm up, bend our left elbow, grab our left elbow with our right hand. And again, you press the left elbow to the left, you draw it to the right. You draw your chin and your sternum towards each other, the head straight back. And then just take a few moments to let the body settle and pause here. What do you feel unwinding in this shape as you're in this shape? Great. Next exhalation, you'll gently release. Inhale, right arm up and left arm up. And then gently lower both arms down, wiggle it out, come forward and pitter patter your toes if you need to, but then we'll have a little momentary reprieve before we try it on the other side. And then when you're ready for round two, we'll come back in. Pinky toes curl under. Go ahead and reach your right arm up. Bend your right elbow and grab your right elbow with your left hand. Press the right elbow to the right as you draw it to the left. And then notice what's happening in the tailbone. Notice what's happening in the rib cage, allowing everything to settle into its place. It just repositions itself. And then notice if your head is kind of leaning more towards the right, or if it can stand just on top. Awesome. And you've got 2 more breath cycles here. The end of your next exhalation, you'll inhale, left arm up, right arm up, both hands down. Come forward, pitter patter the tops of your feet if you'd like, having a happy little temper tantrum. And then when you're ready, you'll take that counter stretch, shifting back to straighten, or rather stretch the fronts of the shins if knees, ankles, and shins permit. He seems very excited, doesn't he? Awesome. And then from here, we'll go ahead and come forward once again onto our shins, blocks this time beside your feet if you'd like them. Okay. Now we're going to go into Ustrasana, but we're going to enter it from toe squat-ish position. So I want you to bring your hands back towards your pelvis, draw the shoulders towards each other, elbows towards each other, heart lifts. That's the position I want you to keep your chest in. Now see if you can touch your feet. So the elbows are still hugging together, the shoulder blades are still coming together, the chin and the sternum are still coming together. Now you're going to curl your tailbone forward to come into Ustrasana. So the tailbone's going to curl under the shoulder blades, stay in that same contact, and then the heart lifts. Yep. And you're just going to notice what it feels like to allow the body to settle in. So what do you need to do to the tailbone to keep it long and the low back happy? What do you need to do to the hands and the feet to have the shoulders open in a way that feels comfortable to you? What do you need to do to the back of the neck to keep the front of the neck and the back of the neck equally long? And then as you're ready, you'll draw the pelvis back to the hips. You'll allow yourself to sit on your heels for a moment. And then if you'd like, you'll untuck the toes and just sit here for a brief moment, letting the spine resettle back in. And soften the gaze or close the eyes. I think very literally or metaphorically, we're all trying to get ourselves back to that part of ourselves that sometimes we feel like we miss or lose, or I don't know, the spiritual texts talk about it a lot as being this idea that, we're born perfect and somehow along the way we forget that. And so we're just allowing ourselves to come back into this. Awesome sauce. All right, when you're ready, let's go ahead and come back to forearms and knees. This time, I want you to bring your your elbows just closer together towards each other. So they're just inside the width of your shoulder girdle. Then you're going to push down and let the skin of your forearms catch the mat, and they'll widen just a little bit. Curl under for that cat pose. Curl both sets of toes under. And then with the upper back staying in a cat, the shoulders staying over your elbows, start to lift your hips up and back. You might then start to walk your feet in closer towards your face. And then you'll just take a moment to pause, and you'll take a moment to breathe, and you'll just notice what you notice here. Yep, and then when you're ready, you're going to lower the knees back down to the mat and either come to a child's pose or to sit on your shins, whichever feels better to you, but you'll take a moment to settle into that shape. And just breathe. Great. Awesome. Those that are in child's pose, roll your spine up to sit. Everyone, let's grab our blanket. Unfold it till it looks like this. It's about a quarter of its normal length. Or fold it till it's about a quarter of its normal length. And then we're going to take the fringe side and we're going to roll it neatly and compactly towards the finished side. Neatly and compactly until you have something roughly looking like that. Great. Once you've got that, our blocks are again once alongside our hips. Your forehead is going to come to the mat, and you'll curl that or tuck that blanket right underneath the backs of your knees. And the blocks are here in case you're like, Jessica, wow, we haven't done that in a while and that's tight and tender. So you might just stay still. You might gently shift a little right to left, but you're allowing yourself to settle into the shape. And if you decide that this is not going to work for you, you can also do the calf smasher thing. But you're just noticing what you notice here. Some of you will be happy as a clam as you are. And then we'll go ahead and come to stillness. Take a quarter turn with that blanket. So it's now a little bit more between the meaty part of the calf. And then again, you might shift a little bit right to left. You might stay completely still, just allowing the muscles to soften, to settle around the blanket. And then notice if you're breathing, and if you're not, please do that. Nice job. Go ahead and come to stillness. Take a quarter turn of that blanket. So now it's a little further down. And again, you might stay still. You might shift a little right to left. Just paying attention. How is it feeling? Great. And then last time, bringing it as close to your ankle as possible. And again, you might stay still. You might curl your toes up towards your bum. And they're just like curling under themselves. Great. And then we'll go ahead and gently come out of that. Slide your blanket off to the right or to the left. Once you find yourself there, separate your hands a little bit wider than your shoulders. Step your right foot back, curl the toes under. And you might just pulse a little forward and back there. And then you'll lower the right knee down, and then you'll slide the left foot back. And again, just pulsing a little forward and back. Okay. Keep the right foot as it is. Push down into the right foot. Step the left foot back to meet the right foot. So now we're in a little planky pose. And with the arms a little bit wider than the shoulders, it gets a different set of core muscles to engage. And so you're just going to pause. And you're going to breathe, and you're going to notice what small adjustments are happening in the spine, what small adjustments are happening in the hands, what small adjustments are happening in the breath. Awesome sauce. At the end of your next exhalation, lower both knees down. Lower your forearms back down to the mat. Draw your hands to touch each other, so palms touch. Now walk your elbows in slightly of your shoulders. Push down into your elbows and forearms and slide the forearm flesh out. Round into your spine a lot like a little Halloween cat. Curl both sets of toes under. Keep pressing down into the hands and the arms. Lift your hips up. You might start to walk your feet in a little closer to your face. And again, just allow the body to settle. Keep pushing down to lift up through the inner armpits, and just allow yourself to settle. Nice. And then when you're ready, you'll lower your knees down to the mat. You'll take a moment to pause, and you'll take a moment to breathe. Nice job, guys. All right, those that are in child's pose, let's go ahead and roll up to sit. And then let's all bring our bums to the floor. Bums to the floor. We're going to do this a little differently than we normally do. I learned it from Amy Impoletti this week, and I really liked the way she taught this. So we're going to do it this way. So I want everybody to bring your hands back behind you. Your thumbs are facing out to the right and to the left, respectively. And you're just kind of like lazily sitting there like we would if we were at a beach and just having a good old time. All right, so legs are long. And then from here, you're going to take your left ankle and cross your left ankle over the top of your right thigh. All right. Now bend your right foot and bring your right foot slightly closer to you. Pause. see if you can draw your left knee closer to your left chest. Left knee comes closer to your left chest. Yep. Flex through your left foot a lot. Now I want you to pay attention to what's happening at your pubic bone. Push your pubic bone forward and over the head of your left hip. Now, because the left knee is closer to the left hip, you'll be feeling the sensation in a slightly different spot. And if you're happy there, you stay there. Some of you will externally rotate the whole thigh so your knee will go further away from you. But that's not necessary if your pubic bone is coming up and over. So it really keeps the whole low back long. And then you push down through the hands to draw your chest closer towards that left knee. The left knee might still be coming towards your left chest, but it's just changing where the sensation is in the outer left hip. Nice job. All right. Gently release that. So the right foot might need to go forward, the left foot might need to go forward. And then we're back to sitting there at a beach. You might roll your ankles if that feels good to you, but we're back to sitting at a beach. Yeah. All right. And then when we're ready, we'll try the other side. So come to stillness. Cross your right ankle over the top of your left thigh. Bend the left knee, draw the left foot closer to your bum. And it doesn't have to be super close like it normally is. We really want to have space to rotate the pelvis. So you're going to reach your pelvis forward and over the head of, step back. Flex through your right foot, draw your right knee closer to your right armpit. Now roll your pelvis forward. And then if you want, you can externally rotate that thigh even more. And then push down through the hands and draw the chest forward even more. And when I do it, I notice that both sit bones are a little bit more evenly rooted on the floor than they are ordinarily. And it draws the stretch a little bit more down to the deep 6 rotators of the hip versus just having it on one of them. And so you just pause and you breathe. Yep. And then when you're ready, you're going to gently come out of that. So left leg forward, right leg forward. This time, windshield wiper the legs in and out. Okay. Grab your blocks. And so one block will be on its second setting. The other block will be on its highest setting. And there's about, depending upon your torso, but a couple inches between the blocks. Great. And then from here, let's take our blanket and unfold it once again. Now, this is going to depend upon you, so you might need to fidget a little bit. But for me, what I found I like is I will fold this blanket over into thirds from there. You might find that you actually want to then fold it again into thirds so that you have something to sit on. It depends on how open your knees are. Okay, so then we're going to set the blanket so it is roughly in line with the blocks this way. Fantastic. All right, so Steve, you can keep this blanket if you want and then just lay down over the 2 blocks. That's option number 1, to just take what's called fish pose. So block, head, hang out here. This is option number 1. Option number 2, if your knees are up for it, is to come into Virasana. So the blanket will come between your legs and you'll sit your butt on the floor. And you might find, oh, yeah, that's not high enough. And so that's why you might roll the blanket up so it feels like your butt has something to sit on. Great, that's option 2. Again, you'll remove any flesh from underneath your sit bones. Option 3 will be to lay back down over the blocks and over the blanket. You choose the option that works best for your body at this moment, and you'll just allow yourself a bit of time to settle into it. And we'll just be here for about 5 breath cycles. And as best as you can, the tailbone is still lengthening down towards the knees. So if you have to lift the pelvis up, curl the tailbone down to your knees and put the pelvis back down, you do that. Yep. You'll notice if you can or want or need to draw the shoulder blades onto the back to allow the scapula to lift and support the opening of the heart. Yep. And then you'll notice what the alignment of the head is. Do you need to adjust the alignment of that block so it feels like your sternum is coming to your chin is drawing to your sternum? And then I want you to take 4 breath cycles here once you're settled. And then at the end of your 4th exhalation, to come out of this shape, we're going to be very mindful about it. So your chin's going to come to your chest. You'll push your hands down into the feet or the floor and you'll curl up. Once you're more into that Virasana shape, you'll curl both sets of toes under and come forward into a shallow downward facing dog. Shallow downward facing dog. Just leave all the props there and just go into a downward facing dog. Yep. And you'll pull your kneecaps up. You'll reach your heels down. And you'll just allow yourself to settle into this shape and notice what you notice. How's the spine? How's the breath? How are you? And we're mostly in this shape just for the safety of your knees. So keep pulling your kneecaps up. Being in a shallow downward facing dog perhaps allows you to have your heels touch the floor. And then when you're ready, you'll lower your knees back down to the mat. You'll move all the stuff from your space. And then you'll make your way onto your bum and then onto your back. This would be a great time to cover the body if you need to. Steve, I think you're right. I think it is allergies. Yeah. All right. And then you're going to make your way onto your back. I do encourage you to cover yourselves up if you tend to get cold because we're starting to wind our body down. Awesome. And the first thing that you'll do is just allow yourself to be still when you come down and just check in as things start to settle and open and unwind. You might have a better idea of what final shape or shapes you might like to try before we go to our final resting pose. So some of you might want to do a simple single leg thigh stretch. Some of you might want to do some simple supine twists. Some of you might want legs up the wall or happy baby. But you're going to take the opportunity in this moment to gently just allow yourself to be with yourself. And I encourage you in whatever shape or shapes you take to really just be there. What does it feel like to give yourself permission to just be as you are? Yeah. And you've got about 2 more minutes doing whatever the heck you happen to be doing. And as you're in these final shapes, and they begin to all wind down, let's start to make our way to our final resting pose. Nice work. And as you find yourself in this shape, as always, the first invitation is to really let the body settle. So, where might you need to fidget or adjust so that you feel comfortable? If the hands are away from the body, where can you allow that to spread and melt more? If the hands are touching the body, where can you soften into that so that you're not having to hold the arms there? Great. And then we'll just take a moment to do a scan of the body, starting from the top of the head and working our way down. There's nothing that you need to do other than drawing your awareness to that part of your body and allowing it to be as it is, and then noticing what happens just by you giving your awareness to it. So you'll bring your awareness to the top of your skull. Notice the scalp, maybe the hair follicles. Draw your awareness now to the forehead, the eyebrows, the eyelids, the cheeks, the bridge of the nose, the tip of the nose, the lips, the chin, the throat. Notice the collarbones. Go out through the arms, noticing the top fleshy part of the arms, the pits of the elbows, the wrists, the palms of the hands, the tips of the fingertips. Drawing the awareness back up through the midline. You'll notice what's happening in the upper rib cage, front of the chest, middle rib cage, front of the chest, the top of the abdomen, the belly button, the lower abdomen, the pubic bone, tops, inner sides of the thighs, the knees, the shin bones and the inner edges of the thighs, the ankles, the tops of the feet, and the toenails. And then you'll bring your awareness now coming up the back side of the body. So noticing the soles of the feet, the heels, the backs of the ankles, the calves, the knee pits, the hamstrings, the buttocks, the low back, the middle back, the upper back, the backs of the shoulder blades, the elbows, the backs of the palms, the fingernails, Drawing the awareness back to the spine, coming back up the back of the neck, the back of the skull, back to the crown of your head. And now you'll just allow yourself to be here, maybe breathing in to draw your awareness down and out to draw the awareness back up, taking that same pathway. As you inhale, the breath draws down the spine towards the feet. And then as you exhale, the awareness draws back up, back to the crown of the head. You might also choose to just be in stillness, letting the body reveal to you what you need to know. And I'll leave you here on your own for a few breath cycles, a few moments, and I'll let you know when it's time to come out. Return your awareness to your breath. As you come back to your breath, just take a moment to check in. Notice what you notice. If there's any part of you that longs to linger in this shape for a few more moments or a few more breaths, by all means, please do. When you are ready to move on with your day, you'll allow small, gentle movement to re-enter into the physical form. Those that are in stillness, stay as long as you'd like. Those that are in movement, start to make your way over to one of your sides and rest there for a few breath cycles. From your side, you'll roll your chest a little bit more towards the floor. You'll press into the top hand and start to bring your spine up to vertical. When you are vertical, I would encourage you to elevate your bum on a block or a blanket. And then you'll take a moment to maybe keep the gaze soft or the eyes closed. And just as we did at the very beginning, adjust the body in whatever way you need to so that the arms can be open and the heart can come through the gates of the arms. Once you feel content there, go ahead and turn your left palm to face the sky. Tuck your index finger into the thumb of the left hand, and then turn your left palm to face the thigh. Turn your right palm to face the sky. Tuck your index finger and middle finger in towards the palm of your hand. Draw the right palm in front of your face. Draw the right thumb to the right nostril, the ring finger and pinky finger to the left nostril. Draw that right elbow in a little bit, and then exhale all the breath from your mouth. Gently close your right nostril and inhale just through the left. Top of the inhalation, you'll close your left nostril and then exhale out through the right. When you need to, you'll draw the breath in through your right. Top of your inhalation, you'll close your right and exhale out through your left. That's one round. Inhale when you need to through the left. Top of the inhalation, close the left and exhale out through the right. When you need to, draw the breath back in through the right. Top of the inhalation, close your right nostril and exhale out through the left. That's 2 rounds. Take 3 more on your own. Just allowing yourself to breathe at the pace that is comfortable for you. With every inhalation, notice that you kind of need to soften and relax to take the breath in. Similarly, with every exhalation, you kind of need to soften and relax to let the breath go. But you just kind of settle into the breath. You settle into this moment. The next time the breath exits through your left nostril, you'll lower your right hand. So keep the spine long. Yep. And then allow the breath to settle either in the heart or the belly, wherever it feels best to you. And you'll just take 3 more steady breath cycles here. And with every subsequent breath, you just allow the body to settle into itself a little bit more. You allow you to settle into yourself a little bit more. At the end of your third exhalation, go ahead and bring a hand to the heart and a hand to the belly. I genuinely believe that the more we allow ourselves to settle into who we are, both our strengths, our opportunities of growth, we allow ourselves to give that same gift to others where they can settle into themselves. And as both sets of us settle into ourselves, we have the opportunity to genuinely connect on a heart, spiritual, gut, intellectual level. And so as you take these last few breath cycles here, notice where you can soften any unnecessary tension to just being as you are. At the end of this next breath, bring your hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Press the palms into each other. Receive the weight of the thumbs into your sternum and lift your heart towards your hands. Gently exhale all the breath from your mouth. And then take a big breath in. Big breath out. Inhale to Om. Join if you'd like. To that light, to that breath, and to that settling sound, we bow. Namaste.